устала бояться. Вы устали молчать.
She has been an unknown housewife and has become the leader of democratic Belarus.
The path to peace in Europe goes through freedom in Belarus.
It's so painful to see your beloved in this small prison. You understand that he is absolutely innocent, that he didn't do anything wrong.
To face Lukashenko, the longest ruling dictator in Europe, she lost her old life and started a new one.
If
you can be a great mother, taking care of thousands of different things at the same time, then you can govern a country.
How can you turn into a politician when you never meant to become one? Dear Sergey, I know that this letter might not reach you as they are withholding letters from political prisoners. But still, I'm writing so that those who put you in prison can see that you are not alone in your cell. My name is Can Dündar. I'm a Turkish journalist living in exile in Germany. I was sentenced to 27 years in prison because of a story I wrote. After serving some time in prison, and surviving an armed attack, I had to leave my country. I met your wife, Sviatlana, for a film over the last couple of months many times, giving hope to the people of Belarus who are forced to live in exile. I was there not only as a journalist, but someone who lived through the same experience. That's why it was important to gain her support to get into her inner world. But I must admit, it was not easy.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, you remember me from Oslo?
Yeah, I see similar face, familiar face.
Yeah, exactly. We are following you. We'll see each other tomorrow.
Where?
Bratislava. We'll come to Bratislava.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
we'll be together.
Wonderful.
Good to see you here.
Thank you.
She was distant, and maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm a foreigner or a man, and that's a woman's story. The story of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya starts with her husband, Sergey Tikhanovsky, a blogger and businessman.
Привет всем, кто хочет жить в стране для жизни.
Sergey traveled the country, interviewed people, and showed serious problems of Belarus that nobody dared to talk about.
Все стоит, нет окон, нет стекол, как после Чернобыля. Только это сделала наша власть и уже в этом тысячелетии.
The dictator Lukashenko declared him an enemy of the state. But for many people in the country, he is a hero.
Ну, невозможно. Терпели. Мы померкованный, мы терпеливый народ, но уже больше нет. Вся надежда на вас, Сергей.
Один человек может разве спасти страну, или надо, чтобы люди...
Мы с вами! Мы с вами! Беларусь, посмотрите, Беларусь с вами!
Like everyone else, I thought for a long time that it wasn't worth getting involved in politics. I thought the people who did just got arrested or murdered. They'd just disappear. But my husband has a strong character. If he decides to do something, he does it.
Я, Сергей Тихановский, белорусский предприниматель и блогер, заявляю о своем намерении участвовать в президентской кампании в качестве кандидата в президенты.
The first time he was arrested, I was really afraid. After that, he was followed constantly. They really hounded him, stopping his car repeatedly. I can remember he was live streaming a talk in his car one time when he was stopped by the police and taken somewhere. I wanted to submit my husband's documents for him, but when I arrived at the Central Election Commission, they just laughed at me and wouldn't take them. Then, in one night, I put together the documents for my own candidacy. I never thought they'd register me for the election. But it was important to me to show Sergej that everything he had done was important to me. As his wife, I want to support him in everything.
That was the turning point for Sviatlana, an incredible story. Here she is, a wife of an upcoming politician in a dictatorship, and then, in a moment where she tries to stand up for her husband, her destiny changes and she herself becomes a politician. When was the last time you talked to your husband?
After his detention, I had the opportunity to talk to him once. It was in 2020, and they allowed him to phone me. I think that maybe they wanted through him to get some information. I don't know. But of course I knew that he's not alone, that there are people around him.
Ну, надо как-то жестче быть.
Жестче? Я переживаю просто за всех, кто там в тюрьме находится, знаешь, жестче быть, но чтобы на вас это всех не отразилось.
He wanted me to be like him, but look, I can't change myself immediately.
Меня зовут Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya. І я кандидат у президенти Республіки Білорусь.
When you follow Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya around Europe today, you see one thing. She got a lot tougher, and she's representing Belarus in the highest level. So the presidents, the prime ministers, the world media are inviting her and talking to her, listening to what she has to say, and she's not shy to speak out for her country.
The voice of the OSCE is rather calm, I would say. You could give more statements, or you'll be more effective on pushing some human rights defending programs.
It's very important for people in Belarus to know that international organizations remember about them. Any statement, give any flag on City Hall, give us energy to continue.
She never declared herself as the president of Belarus, but part of the world receives her as such, Madam President of Belarus. As journalists, we each get slots for interviews, like 15 minutes. It's too little to reach the real movement behind her political image.
Hi.
Nice to meet you again. We'll be here.
Yes.
Thank you. So you were in Oslo the day before, and Aachen yesterday, and today Vienna and Bratislava in the afternoon. So, I mean, it's a huge, unbelievable schedule. Are you tired of it?
Of
course I'm tired. I'm tired physically, I'm tired morally. I don't see my children a lot, only maybe on the weekends, but I'm so exhausted during these weekends that, you know, I hug my children and we watch a movie together with them. I hope that strong leaders will see that we are tired, but we are not stopping, and they will not stop as well. Politics shouldn't be comfortable. It should be always like overcome challenges. I really realize it, and it's too much on my shoulders, but I have to hold this weight because I'm alongside with all Belarusians are responsible for the future of our country, for the people who are behind the bars.
Свою эту, где ты лепишь. А тебе какой?
Это было около 3 часов.
We arrived at the border at around 3 in the morning.
Дети у меня ни о чем не
The children didn't ask me where we were going. We said goodbye to those who had brought us. A border official registered our names, and we continued on foot.
Пограничник, и мы пошли пешком. И вот тогда вот Ваня у меня спросил.
And then Vanya said, "Grandma, is it true that Mama's in prison?" Maybe we had mentioned it or talked about it while he was around. We thought he was too young to understand. We underestimated him. So I said, "Yes, dear little Vanya, Mama's in prison." And then he told his sister Nastya.
Донес это Насте.
Будут переводить.
My daughter was an activist and an associate of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya. She was collecting signatures for Tsikhanouskaya's candidacy. That's why she was convicted, and she's been in prison ever since.
She loves us a lot. I love Papa a bit more.
I prefer Mama.
And what do you wish for?
For Mama and Papa to get out of prison.
For Mama and Papa to get out of prison.
And for Lukashenko to die.
And Putin too.
Я ни разу не пожалела о том, что сказала.
I've never regretted telling the children the truth. I don't know how I could have carried on lying. The children know that their mama and papa are heroes and that they're in prison.
Что мама и папа в тюрьме.
It is really unbelievable being a kid and knowing that your parents are in prison without having done anything wrong. When you make yourself a target for a dictator, your whole life, whole family is being taken hostage. That's the unfair thing. You know it will affect your whole family, and still you have to do it.
I think they just wanted to make fun of me when they approved my candidacy. They thought no normal society would collect signatures for a candidate like me, or elect a housewife for president.
Они мне все обещали, что если меня после этого видео посадят, они пойдут... Посадят вместе с тобой. Нет, они пойдут к тюрьме и будут разбирать все по кирпичику, пока меня не освободят.
Мы пообещали. Нормально, не волнуйся. Слушай, я нашла по прямой.
Что я его вызвала? А знаешь, как это страшно?
We asked our teams to leave us three, Masha, Veronica and myself, so we could speak confidentially. I told them very honestly and clearly that I didn't see myself in the role of future president. But together we decided to put me forward as a candidate anyway. Our plan was that if I should win, I would immediately call for fresh elections. Within 15 minutes, we were agreed on our plan. Then we began our campaign, traveling throughout Belarus.
Those three women from different political backgrounds joined forces and started to awaken the country, showing, at least for a summer long, that political changes are possible as a democratic country and a life in freedom. Sviatlana herself transformed completely, together with her country.
I remember our first rally. It was in a small town. I was standing on a stage for the first time in my life and I was nervous. I took the microphone. This first time they'd written a speech for me because I didn't know what to say. I knew our basic principles and I knew what I felt when I saw the widespread injustice in our country, but I didn't know how to talk to people or how they would receive me.
Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya.
Each day I grew with the people of Belarus.
У нас конституция не под женщину. И у нас общество не созрело. У нас президент не Литва. Там президент, вот была Даля Грибускайте, пришла, поулыбалась, посидела и пошла.
This humiliation of women is awful. Lukashenko, he realizes that Belarus is changing, Belarusian people are changing, and of course it threatens him a lot because he, for 27 years, he built autocracy in our country, and he was sure that nobody will dare to, to lift the head up.
Я устала молчать. Я устала бояться. Вы устали молчать.
Yesterday, Veronica welcome. Now we follow you. Yeah.
If you fight for democracy, you are given prizes. You are invited to important places all over the world. Especially European institutions like to do that a lot, handing out prizes for consolation or support. But I wonder if they really stand up for you, take action for democratic rights, give up their comfort for freedom, and if those awards would help. Well, sometimes yes.
Vorbildlichen Einsatzes für Freiheit, Demokratie, Rechtsstaatlichkeit.
The belief that it is at least possible to cooperate to some degree, even with dictators like Lukashenko, may perhaps have made us too slow to act with respect to the Belarusian regime.
This Charlemagne Prize belongs not to me and not to our trio. It belongs to all Belarusians.
I don't really like the microphone. You're totally in the spotlight with everyone standing around you. I understand that you have to communicate what you want to say to people, and everyone has to be able to hear, but to me it feels unnatural.
We should remember that the path to peace in Europe goes through freedom in Belarus. The path to peace in Europe leads through peace for Ukraine. І слава Україні! Дякую.
Dankeschön. Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya.
I love being among people and talking to them, giving someone a hug, crying with another, or reminiscing with people. I like to be surrounded by people rather than talking before them.
Your husband's picture is always there, and during the interviews, is it a political act or something personal for you?
It is mostly personal, of course, because I have to feel my husband beside me all the time, and you know, when I hear sometimes that something cannot be done, you know, or you know, a situation is difficult, I always look here, and I have to be persistent in my requests, because his life, his freedom, and the same as freedom of other thousands of people depend maybe on this conversation with the politician.
Yeah. You must be missing him a lot.
I miss him a lot, of course, and he spent already 2 years in jail, in solitary cell, and look, of course it's awful, you know. But he inspires me to continue. And children who are asking me where is the daddy, and overall in our apartment where we live, portraits of my husband is everywhere, and we are watching video with their daddy for them not to forget, because my daughter was only 4 when she saw her father last time.
What was your answer when they asked where the dad is?
My children know that their dad is in jail. My older son is 12, and he realizes that his father is hero, and he is suffering because of Lukashenko regime. My younger daughter, she's 6. She knows that her dad is in jail, but she hardly understands what jail is.
Здравствуй, мой дорогой Сергей. Это такое странное чувство уже 2-й раз не иметь возможности поздравить тебя лично. Собрать всех друзей на твой день рождения.
Мой папочка любимый, ты очень дорог мне. Ты сильный и красивый, как рыцарь на коне.
Ты сможешь, точно знаю, помочь и защитить. Таким прекрасным папой лишь ты способен быть.
I saw the letter your wife and children wrote to you on your birthday. And I remembered my joy and sadness when I read the letters from my wife and son in prison. Sorrow caused by oppression passes from country to country, from hand to hand, as if we were in a relay race. So does the determination to struggle.
Looking back, I realize I lived in fear every day. People were being arrested just for collecting signatures. I felt it was only a matter of time before they would come for me too.
Лукашенко Александр Григорьевич, за него проголосовало 4 652 423 или 80,23%.
Somehow they forgot the people, especially women who took the streets and getting involved in politics and then risking their freedom and life to fight for democracy.
Утром 10 числа мы
On the morning of August 10th, we drove down to the Central Election Commission.
чтобы подать документ о том, что
We wanted to make it clear that we did not accept the results because they were rigged. As I entered the building, 2 people were already waiting for me.
Там меня уже ждали 2 человека.
They told me what awaited me in prison
какая меня ждет
and
участь
what my children
в
would
тюрьме,
face.
скажем так. Какая ждет участь моих
They claimed I
детей,
had
и что
been lied
меня
to,
обманули,
that
и что
Masha
Маша
Kolesnikova was a
Kolesnikova
secret
там
agent,
агент,
and that
и
I
что
was being
меня
used.
использовали, и все это вместе.
From a psychological point of view, it was very clever. And I was alone. Neither Masha nor Veronica were there. There was no one to support me. I told them I was going to drive to Lithuania to see my children, but they said I first had to record a video.
Уважаемые граждане Республики Беларусь, я, Светлана Тихановская, благодарю вас за участие в выборе главы государства. Народ Беларуси сделал свой выбор. С благодарностью и теплотой...
And that's how they force you to leave your country. By using psychological pressure, by telling lies, by threatening you and your family. For a regime that is afraid of its opponents, forcing Sviatlana and many others out of the country or putting them into jail is the only way to stay in power.
О, ну что ж вы делаете, девчонки?
Хорошо, картиночку делаю. Садите в сторону.
My daughter Tonya took part in every protest after the election. On September 6, 2020, she was arrested. She was followed, her car was stopped, and she was taken into custody. My husband stayed in Belarus to help our daughter and her husband. How did Tonya look to you?
She's lost more weight, but otherwise, she seemed relatively fit and cheerful.
She would have put on a brave face so that you don't lose heart.
One time, she almost started crying. I asked her if something was wrong, but she said no, everything's okay.
The women write that they don't have enough food in the penal colony. That's why they're losing weight. They have to work but don't have food. Just some porridge and fermented cabbage.
Grandpa, I love you so much. Please come for my birthday.
And mine.
Oh, my dear little ones, I'd love to. I miss you so much, but at the moment, Grandpa can't come.
Can you at least send something?
Okay, but tell us what it's like in Belarus now.
It's all over. The fire's gone out. Everything's getting worse, with jobs, wages, living standards.
But what can we do? We can't leave them. Okay, talk to you soon. We love and miss you.
Yes, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I remember meeting all the people who had collected signatures for my candidacy in various cities. That's when I first met Tonya. She's such a good person, very modest. She smiles a lot. She's someone with a pure heart. It was a heavy blow to us when Tonya was arrested.
When she was sentenced to 5.5 years, I told my grandson. He asked me if 5 years was a long time. I said, yes, Vanya, it's a very long time. How many days is it, he asked. I said, it's very many days. But why, he asked. And there was so much pain in his voice.
I have to say, ever since that election day, I have not stopped feeling guilty for even 1 minute. Every time when someone is detained, has their house searched, or gets beaten in prison, I feel personally guilty because we didn't finish something that we started.
Where you end up in exile is a personal story. For me, it was Berlin at that time. For Sviatlana, it is Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, less than an hour away from the border of Belarus. One thing that sticks out, there's a huge solidarity for Belarus and Ukraine. People here just seem to realize that the war on Ukraine and dictatorship is very close. Sviatlana is protected by the Lithuanian state, and security in the headquarters is high. We are only allowed to film in the entrance hall and in the conference room. Sviatlana's or other offices are restricted.
We can call it exiled government, we can call it center of democratic forces, whatever. In fact, this is the political heart of the democratic movement of Belarus right now. Here, the movement, the political idea, the narratives are being born.
You didn't print anything for me?
No, no time. So, we're meeting to discuss our trip to the United Nations in New York. It'll be a brief visit, just 4 days.
Who's part of the delegation?
Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, Franak Vierchorka, Alexander Schlick. There'll be a bit of time to relax when we arrive, but in the evening, we're going to the Clintons' reception.
Just one reception, or do we have to work through the night?
It's being organized by Bill and Hillary Clinton. The second appointment is important. It's with Joe Biden. That's not confirmed yet, but we've asked for a meeting.
After she left Belarus, she disappeared from information space. She was here in Vilnius. Some of us were in Kiev. Many of us were still in Minsk. So I took flight from Kiev on August 30. I saw Tsikhanouskaya for the first time. It was a few weeks after elections. And the next day I started to work here. I think I helped to form the team we have right now. І зараз чекаємо ще отказ Є мішмар, коли буваються сайд-івенти, і такі сайд-івенти все тематичні дискусії зв'язані з УНРВА. I was a very young kid when Lukashenko took power. And I went to the first year of the school when Lukashenko became president. So whole entire life of myself passed with Lukashenko. And all my life was in fight against Lukashenko, all my life. And when I was in school, when I was 11 years old, I was putting stickers against Lukashenko everywhere in the town. I was detained for the first time when I was 13 years old, and I spent the whole night in police. So, and the whole life, it was in this fight. But we never had such power, such energy, and such a chance to win as we have right now. Before she meets some president or prime minister, she must understand what he or she can influence. Because when we go to the room of the meeting, she is the speaker. I am nearby, I'm making notes. Of course, I can say something, a few words, but I cannot be a speaker. She is a speaker. So the preparation is key. I think next 50 years, there will not be president or politician in Belarus who has such meetings as Sviatlana has now. It's unique historical period because she meets on the very high level, the highest level possible. We're trying for 27 years, everything. And we always select something. Her inexperience was her superpower. She doesn't want to be a politician. She doesn't want to be a president. She doesn't have ambitions. And this is also part of her identity, part of her style. People are tired of ordinary politicians like myself or other party leaders. She is exactly what we need.
If you can be a great mother, taking care of thousands of different things at the same time, then you can govern a country. If you have competent advisors at your side. Being a president is about pursuing common goals, having a sense of the people's moral sensibilities, and an understanding of the country as a whole.
What is impressive for me is politics is not for politicians only. It should be open to everyone, so you don't have to get a political school or coming from a party background. One day you're a housewife, and the other day you're a politician.
Представник Светланы Тsikhanouskaya по международных питаннях. Старший советник Франак Вершорка.
When you are in exile, you don't stop caring about your country. The contrary is the case. You are more involved in domestic politics, and yet it is difficult to change it. Lukashenko silenced his opponents and put many of them in prison. So the only hope is the opposition in exile.
Some of those who started out with me in 2020 now accuse me of not letting them join my team. That's not true.
Are you ready to take on your leadership role? To accept full responsibility as the newly elected president with a new cabinet?
I accept full responsibility. It's time. If we build something up, then we also need to form a cabinet. And of course, this cabinet needs to be one that is not in any way comparable with the regime in Belarus.
I would like to know whether in your office and in the new cabinet, if attention will finally be paid to ensuring that there is a gender balance.
For me, just the fact that I've been working like a bulldozer for years now is like my oath to the people of Belarus.
Going to Belarus is, for me, like going to Turkey. No difference at all. There is a kind of agreement between those leaders like Erdoğan and Lukashenko. Once you challenge one of them, you're challenging the other. So that's why they can easily give you to each other. 100 meters away, there's another world. So our freedom ends here, and authoritarian regime starts from here on. What they write here is open the borders and free the hostages, means political prisoners. It must be very sad for Sviatlana and the others to be so close to her country, but politically so far away.
I don't think distance plays a role in how homesick you feel. The longing to be reunited with your family, to be in places you love, is just as strong whether you're 40 minutes away or 1,000 kilometers. You can't measure it in distance. But when the time comes, I'll be home much faster than Can.
What is your imagination, your dream, to have a family life or struggle for the country hand in hand with your husband?
My dream is to be together with my husband and my children. In which circumstances, I don't know. Maybe my husband will be in politics in the future and I will be just his wife.
What is interesting is that you were his wife once upon a time, and now we are talking about him as your husband. It's changed your status, right?
Actually, I still feel as wife of my husband, and when my husband is released, I will be behind him, and he will be the front person in my family and who knows, maybe in the country, and I will not fight with him for recognition or for whatever. So these family values are more important for me.
Some people might be unsatisfied with what she says. She, as a woman, having the power, does not hold on to it, and rather wants to step back when her husband is free, with the hope that her country will also be free that day. When I was in prison for publishing an article, it was my wife, Dilek, who did everything she could to get me out and show the injustice to the world. That reminds me of Sviatlana's fight for her husband, Sergej. So when Sviatlana was in Berlin, I wanted them to meet. Also to see if Dilek can do what I couldn't, to reach Sviatlana's inner world. Hello, hi again. Good to see you again. My wife, Dilek.
Thank you. How are you? I was honored to meet with you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I always saw Can's arrest as a turning point in Turkey. Can was a very important public figure. The fact that he was put in prison was the first sign that Turkey was going off the rails. So I thought I need to explain in Europe, and especially before the European Parliament, just how outrageous it was. Knowing that you're standing for what's right gives you such power. Suddenly you can express everything. Suddenly you're able to speak out. You begin to speak emotionally, and even if there's pushback, you have the power to counter it. It was around midnight when the prisoners were released. There were so many people crowding around. I couldn't even get near Can. But then a corridor suddenly opened up, and I got to him. It was pure joy.
You know, standing here today, I feel the weight of history. It's nauseating to think that only a couple of steps from where I stand now, nearly 3,000 people were executed. Walking through the prison today, I felt so small. My heart began to beat faster. And I thought that my husband, Sergey, must have felt something similar when he first entered the courtyard of Zhodina prison. He can't speak to us today, but I'm sure he would say that courage...
So how did you decide to fight for your husband, and how was it? For example, I remember, in my case, I was not... I'm not good in talking in crowds. I was so trembling. And what was your case and how it started?
Look, everything was the same. I feel absolutely, till now, I feel absolutely uncomfortable in front of big amount of people. I'm really, I'm rather modest and shy person. I'm not like talkative, but when you have to do something, look, we are women. We are stronger than we sometimes think about ourselves. I remember in 2020, absolutely everything was so new for me, and it was my first speech in European Parliament. Just imagine, European Parliament. And I remember I had speech, I didn't know how this European Parliament looked like, and the door opens and I see this massive room, and I told no. I made a step back. But look, what can I do? I went and showed those pictures with beaten people. In the prisons, they were tortured, harassed, and raped. We are women, we sometimes underestimate ourselves.
I believe in women's power, and we are much more powerful than men. So it was...
But still, I would like to have better rhetoric abilities. I mean, I talk in simple words. I don't know this diplomatic language where people say something, say, and you can't understand what he's talking about. But yeah.
But your husband knows that you're campaigning for him all over Europe or world?
Look, he knows that I campaigning not for him. He knows that I'm campaigning for all others. Of course, he knows.
The lawyer is a huge support, if you're in jail and someone, as your wife, is campaigning for the others and you.
There were times when I was so exhausted and you say, look, I can't do this anymore. But you wake up in the morning, you think that now you can drink your coffee, you can take your shower, but your husband and thousands of other people can't do this. So wake up and go.
We feel a need to attend all the events linked to Belarus. The children say, this is our way of helping Mama and Papa. We're fighting for them. Thanks to Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, the world has not forgotten Belarus. But she's not going to take up arms and liberate the prisoners. It's the people who must do that.
I don't want to live in any other country than Belarus. I don't even entertain the idea. I don't know when we will be able to return, but it will happen. I'm certain of that.
I firmly believe that one day these compelling struggles will triumph and our countries will retrieve democracy. Your wife keeps up the hope for that day. I wish you and all political prisoners the strength to endure and salute your boundless determination to struggle. Sincerely yours, Can Dündar.